You can understand complex English. You just proved it by listening to that long podcast earlier. You heard the ideas, you followed the stories, and you understood the nuance. But when you speak, does it feel the same? Or do you stop? Do you feel choppy, like a robot? The difference between intermediate and advanced English isn't just big words. It is the glue that holds them together. Today, we are going to fix your flow. Relax your shoulders. Let's practice the words that connect your thoughts. I am Sarah, and I am here to guide you through this session.
And I am Mark. I'm here to practice right alongside you. I know exactly that feeling you were talking about, Sarah. I often have the vocabulary in my head, but when I try to get it out, it comes out in short little bursts. I say a sentence, then I stop, then I say another sentence. It feels frustrating because I know I understand more than I can show.
That is completely normal, Mark. It is what we call the gap between passive understanding and active production. When we listen, our brain is riding a river. The speaker is doing the work of connecting the ideas. But when we speak, we have to build the bridge ourselves. If we do not have the right tools, we just throw stones in the water. We say subject, verb, object, stop. Subject, verb, object, stop. Today, we are going to learn the bridges. We call them connectors. These are the words that turn a list of facts into a story.
I like that image, building bridges instead of throwing stones. So we are not learning new nouns or verbs today?
No, today is purely about structure. We are going to focus on 3 specific types of connectors. We will look at pivot connectors, which help you change direction. We will look at logic builders, which help you explain why things happen. And we will look at flow sustainers, which help you tell a story in order. This is a practice session, so Mark, I am going to ask you to repeat after me, and I want our listeners to do the same. If you are on the train or walking or just sitting at home, speak out loud if you can. If not, speak clearly in your mind.
I am ready. Where do we start?
We start with the pivot. This is when you want to contrast 2 ideas. The most common word for this is but. Mark, give me a sentence with but.
I wanted to go for a walk, but it was raining.
Perfect. That is grammatically correct. However, if you use but every single time, you sound a bit repetitive. It keeps your English at a basic level. We want to upgrade that. The first word we are going to practice is however. It is strong, professional, and very clear. Listen to the difference. I wanted to go for a walk. However, it was raining.
It sounds much more formal. It feels like there's a bit more weight to the sentence.
Exactly. It signals to the listener that a significant contrast is coming. Let's practice this. I will say 2 short sentences. I want you to combine them using however. Ready? Here are the sentences. The test was difficult. I passed it.
The test was difficult. However, I passed it.
Very good. Listeners, your turn. The test was difficult. However, I passed it. Repeat that.
The test was difficult. However, I passed it.
Let's try another one. She was very tired. She finished her work. Mark, combine them.
She was very tired. However, she finished her work.
Excellent. Notice the pause. When we write, we put a comma after however. When we speak, we take a tiny breath. She was very tired. Breath. However, she finished her work. Try that rhythm, Mark.
She was very tired. However, she finished her work.
Perfect. Now let's try a slight variation. Let's look at although. This is a bit different. However usually starts a new sentence. Although connects the 2 ideas into one smooth thought. It makes the flow even better. Listen to this. Although it was raining, I went for a walk.
That sounds very fluid. Although it was raining, I went for a walk.
Exactly. It puts the problem at the beginning. It says, I know there is an obstacle, but I did it anyway. Let's practice this structure. I will give you the problem and the action. You start with although. The problem is, the traffic was bad. The action is, we arrived on time.
Although the traffic was bad, we arrived on time.
Good. Listeners, try that. Although the traffic was bad, we arrived on time.
Sarah, can I put although in the middle of the sentence?
That is a great question. Yes, you can. You could say, we arrived on time, although the traffic was bad. It softens the contrast a little bit. Let's try that version. Repeat after me. I enjoyed the movie, although it was very long.
I enjoyed the movie, although it was very long.
Let's do a few more of these pivot drills because this is where most learners get stuck. They just say but. We want to break that habit. Here is a situation. You want to buy a new car. You do not have enough money. Mark, give me the although version.
Although I want to buy a new car, I do not have enough money.
And now give me the however version.
I want to buy a new car. However, I do not have enough money.
Do you feel the difference?
I do. The although version feels like one thought. The however version feels like two separate strong points.
That is it. That is the nuance. When you are speaking, if you want to keep the story moving quickly, use although. If you want to stop and make a point, use however. Let's move to a slightly more advanced pivot connector. This one is despite. This one is tricky because of the grammar. We usually use it with a noun or an ing verb, not a full sentence.
Oh, I always make mistakes with this one. I always want to say, despite that it was raining.
Many people do, but we must say, despite the rain, or despite raining. Let's practice the noun version first. It is very elegant. Listen to this. Despite the delay, we were happy.
Despite the delay, we were happy.
Listeners, repeat that. Focus on the pronunciation of despite. It is a soft sound at the end. Despite the delay, we were happy.
Can we try one with an action?
Yes. Let's say you studied hard, but you failed. Using despite with an ing verb. Despite studying hard, I failed.
Despite studying hard, I failed. That sounds very high level.
It is. It is exactly the kind of sentence that makes you sound fluent. It packs a lot of information into a short space. Let's try one more. The situation is, you felt sick, you went to work.
Despite feeling sick, I went to work.
Perfect. Listeners, try that one. It is a common situation. Despite feeling sick, I went to work. Feel how that flows? You don't have to stop and start. You just slide through the sentence.
It definitely feels less robotic. It feels like I am painting a picture rather than just listing facts.
That is the goal. Now let's shift gears. We have covered the pivot. Now we need to look at logic builders. These are the connectors that explain cause and effect. Mark, if I ask you why something happened, what is the first word that comes to your mind?
Because. Always because.
Right. I was late because I overslept. It works. It is correct. But again, if we want that step-by-step improvement, we need variety. We need to sound more professional. The first upgrade for because is due to.
Due to. I see that in emails a lot.
Yes, it is very common in business, but we use it in speaking too when we want to sound organized. Like despite, it is often followed by a noun. Due to the weather, due to the traffic, due to a mistake. Listen to this example. The flight was canceled due to the storm.
The flight was canceled due to the storm.
Listeners, repeat that. The flight was canceled due to the storm.
Can I use it at the beginning of the sentence?
Absolutely. Due to the storm, the flight was canceled. Try that.
Due to the storm, the flight was canceled.
This is a great tool when you are explaining a problem at work or in a serious conversation. It sounds much better than saying, the flight was canceled because there was a storm. It is cleaner. Let's try another one, the logic builder for the result. You have explained the cause, now you want to explain the result. Instead of saying so, we can use consequently.
Consequently. That is a long word.
It is, but it has a wonderful rhythm. Consequently. 4 syllables. It means as a result. Listen to this. It rained all day. Consequently, the game was stopped.
It rained all day. Consequently, the game was stopped.
Listeners, repeat that. Focus on the stress. Consequently. It rained all day. Consequently, the game was stopped.
It feels very logical. Step 1 happened. Consequently, step 2 happened.
Exactly. It shows your listener that you are thinking clearly. Let's try a workplace example. We missed the deadline. Consequently, we lost the client.
Ouch. That is a hard sentence to say. We missed the deadline. Consequently, we lost the client.
It is hard, but it is clear. Try combining due to and consequently in your mind. We don't usually put them in the same sentence, but they work in pairs across a conversation. Mark, I am going to give you a scenario. I want you to explain it using these new tools. Here is the scenario. You didn't study. You failed the test. Use consequently.
I did not study. Consequently, I failed the test.
Very good. Now let's try a phrase that is very useful for spoken English. It is as a result. It means the same thing, but it is slightly easier to say. I did not study. As a result, I failed the test.
I did not study. As a result, I failed the test.
Listeners, try that one. It is very natural. As a result. Link those words together. As a result.
As a result. It almost sounds like one word.
Yes, that is linked speech. I slept late. As a result, I missed the bus. Try that.
I slept late. As a result, I missed the bus.
So now we have our pivots, however, although, despite, and we have our logic builders, due to, consequently, as a result. We are already building a toolkit that is much stronger than just and but.
I can feel the difference. I feel like I have more options. Before, I felt trapped with only one way to say things. Now, I have choices.
Choice creates confidence. When you know you have 3 ways to say something, you relax. Now let's look at the third category, flow sustainers. These are for sequencing. Mark, when you tell a story, what words do you use to move from the beginning to the end?
Usually first, then after that, and finally.
Those are the classics, and they are good. But again, if you're telling a long story, using then can get boring. We want to smooth it out. We want to use words like initially, subsequently, and eventually.
Those sound very advanced.
They are, but they are easy to use. Initially just means at first. It sets the scene. Listen to this. Initially, I was nervous about the job.
Initially, I was nervous about the job.
Listeners, repeat that. Initially, I was nervous about the job.
So it replaces at first?
Yes, it is just a bit more precise. Initially, everything was quiet. Initially, we didn't know the answer. It draws the listener in. Then, instead of saying next or then, we can use subsequently. Now, this is quite formal, so for casual stories, we might use later on or shortly after. But let's practice subsequently because it is great for professional contexts. The meeting started. Subsequently, the CEO arrived.
The meeting started. Subsequently, the CEO arrived.
It means coming after in time. But let's look at a more common one for daily life. In the meantime, this is a beautiful connector. It means 2 things are happening at once. While waiting for one thing, you did another.
Oh, I like that. Like waiting for a bus.
Exactly. The bus was late. In the meantime, I read a book.
The bus was late. In the meantime, I read a book.
Listeners, this is a very useful phrase. In the meantime. Connect it all together. In the meantime. Try this example. My dinner was cooking. In the meantime, I called my mother.
My dinner was cooking. In the meantime, I called my mother.
This adds depth to your story. It shows you are managing multiple timelines. It makes you sound like a competent narrator. And finally, for the end of the story, instead of just saying in the end, let's use eventually. This implies that time passed and maybe there was some difficulty.
So not just simply finally?
Finally just marks the last item on a list. Eventually adds a feeling of time and effort. Listen to the difference. Finally, I went home versus eventually I went home. The second one sounds like it was a long day.
I see. It has more emotion in it.
Exactly. It took a long time, but eventually we solved the problem.
It took a long time, but eventually we solved the problem.
Listeners, repeat that. It took a long time, but eventually we solved the problem.
I really like that one. It feels like a relief.
It does. So let's review our flow sustainers. Initially for the start, in the meantime for parallel actions, eventually for the conclusion. Before we move on to the final challenge, I want to talk about one more thing, the thinking bridges.
What is a thinking bridge?
Mark, when you are speaking and you forget a word or you lose your train of thought, what do you do?
Usually, I freeze. I say, and I look at the floor. It is very embarrassing.
That's the robot moment. The flow stops. Thinking bridges are phrases you can say while you are thinking. They buy you time, but they keep the English flowing. They prevent the silence.
That sounds like magic. I need that.
It is a simple trick. Instead of silence, you use a phrase like, what I mean is, or let me put it this way, or simply, it's interesting because.
So I can say these words even if I don't know what I am going to say next?
Yes, they are filler, but they are productive filler. They tell the listener, I'm not finished, I'm just organizing my thoughts. Let's practice what I mean is. Imagine you said something confusing. You want to clarify. You pause and you say, what I mean is, it was complicated.
What I mean is, it was complicated.
Listeners, repeat that. Use this when you feel stuck. What I mean is.
What I mean is.
Another good one is, how can I say this? You can actually ask that question out loud. It is very natural.
Really? I can ask myself that?
Yes, it shows you are searching for the perfect word. It makes you sound thoughtful, not confused. Try it. You are stuck. You say, it was, how can I say this? Very overwhelming.
It was, how can I say this? Very overwhelming.
See? The silence wasn't scary. You filled it with English.
It feels much less stressful. I don't have to panic.
No panic, just bridges. Now, we have covered a lot of ground today. We have the pivots, the logic, the sequence, and the bridges. Now we're going to put it all together. We are going to do the 1-paragraph challenge.
I'm a little nervous, but I am ready.
I am going to read a short story. It is a paragraph. It uses all the connectors we learned today. I want you to listen to it first. Just listen to the flow. Don't speak yet. Are you ready?
Ready.
Here is the story. Initially, I did not want to learn to drive. I was scared of the traffic. However, I knew it was necessary for my job. Consequently, I started taking lessons. Despite being very nervous, I practiced every weekend. In the meantime, I saved money for a car. It was difficult, but eventually I passed my test.
Wow, that sounded so smooth. It flowed perfectly from start to finish.
And notice, the sentences were simple. The words were not crazy C1 vocabulary words, but the structure was C1. The connectors made it advanced. Now we are going to shadow this. I will say one sentence. You repeat it. We will build the whole paragraph. Listeners, this is your final workout. Give it your best focus.
Let's do it.
Initially, I did not want to learn to drive.
I did not want to learn to drive.
I was scared of the traffic.
I was scared of the traffic.
However, I knew it was necessary for my job.
However, I knew it was necessary for my job.
Consequently, I started taking lessons.
Consequently, I started taking lessons.
Despite being very nervous, I practiced every weekend.
Despite being very nervous, I practiced every weekend.
In the meantime, I saved money for a car.
In the meantime, I saved money for a car.
It was difficult, but eventually I passed my test.
It was difficult, but eventually I passed my test.
Now take a deep breath. We are going to try to say the whole thing. I will go slowly. Try to speak with me or just slightly after me. Let's ride the river together.
Okay, I am focusing.
Initially, I did not want to learn to drive. I was scared of the traffic. However, I knew it was necessary for my job. Consequently, I started taking lessons. Despite being very nervous, I practiced every weekend. In the meantime, I saved money for a car. It was difficult, but eventually I passed my test.
I did it. I got through the whole thing without stopping.
And you sounded fantastic. That is the power of connectors. They are the map that guides you through the sentence. If you subscribe to this channel, it helps us create more of these practice sessions so you can build your English step by step, just like we did today.
I definitely want to practice this more.
You can. And here is your homework. It is a small challenge for the next 24 hours. I want you to ban the word but.
Ban it? Completely?
Just for 24 hours. Every time you want to say but, I want you to stop, take a breath, and use however or although. It will be hard. You will realize how often you use but.
I use it all the time. This is going to be tricky.
It will be, but that effort, that pause, is where the learning happens. It forces your brain to select a new path. Try it in your messages. Try it in your voice notes. Try it when talking to yourself.
I accept the challenge. No buts for one day.
Wonderful. You have the tools now. You don't have to speak like a robot. You can flow. Trust the connectors and the fluency will follow. Thank you for studying with us today.
Thank you, Sarah. This was really helpful.
See you in the next step. Keep practicing.